So professional me is the well-accredited professional, like I mentioned, a Fitwell ambassador. I also do, I'm a project manager on the interiors team. And then I do business development on the side. And like I said, talk about wellness in the workplace. And then for fun, I like to run. I'm a triathlete and I'm in the 50 States Marathon Club. And I'll talk about that here in a second. So what I'm going to go over today is a little bit about my fitness background and how I've been able to take my personal passions and turn them into professional in my day-to-day. An introduction to Fitwell, just because this is the new hot topic with people returning back to the office safely, and tips for staying mentally and physically fit during this quarantine and so forth. So fitness background. I consider myself a minimalist. However, I like collecting a race finisher medals a lot. They each tell a story of hard work and grit, a journey of personal growth, and a symbol of mental toughness. So anyone that knows me knows that I like to run and I like to compete. And so I have a bit of a problem with medals. This is just one wall of my house where I've collected all my bibs and all my medals from across the country. And then one more layer of that, I actually have a separate rack that shows just my marathon medals. So on the left are all the states that I've completed a marathon in. I've run them all with my sister. We haven't necessarily finished at the same time, but we've started at the same time. And this is on the other side of my wall. So I've got a lot of medals. My husband is a very understanding person and knows that this is my thing. So the two questions I get asked the most are, have you qualified for Boston? The answer is no, I'm not even close. I'm like 45 minutes out. So do not see that happening anytime soon. And what's my favorite marathon? And I usually say Ohio. I'm from Ohio. I ran the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon, and my grandmother actually got to see me finish. And that was about a year before she passed. So it was like a good way to say goodbye. So this is a fun slide. I had so much fun doing this one yesterday. This is a picture of every single race with my sister and I, mostly with medals and mostly at the finish, but all in a nutshell right there. And then this is kind of how this is from Fred Lebo, the founder of the New York City Marathon. This is how I think I sum up. It's like the closest to being considered a champion or finishing something is crossing that finish line to an Olympic champion. And I did /5K because you don't necessarily have to be a marathon runner to have that feeling. For those of you that ever want to start running or have an interest in how to start, here's 4 websites with races that are annual. And this year's a little bit of an exception because most of them are virtual. But everything from a 5K to a full marathon. And so I'm signed up for the BMW Dallas Half, but I doubt it will actually happen. But the Tour de Floors is officially virtual, and then the races on the Run Project and DFW are all virtual this year as well. But they do send you a medal. You just have to run on your own time. And then if you don't want to run, that's not a problem. I actually, when I do my cross training, I am a member of ClassPass on one of my apps, and it gives you access to tons of classes. So you get to try out if you want to go boxing or try yoga or try Pilates. So below are some of my favorite classes that I use through ClassPass. So it gives you another reason to stretch those muscles that you typically wouldn't use for running. Oprah Winfrey, she ran the New York City Marathon several years ago. So I liked this quote from her. I find myself using this often. All right, introduction to Fitwell. Okay, so like Well, it was launched in 2016. So it's very new. It's a certification program for health and well-being in the built environment. And what's really enticing to folks that are returning to the office is it was developed by the CDC and the GSA. So it's another rating system for the health affecting aspects of the built environment to improve occupant well-being. And it's third-party certified by the Center for Active Design. So what buildings does this apply to? So if you're in a community, you have to have at least one residential building, a commercial site, so multiple buildings, a multi-tenant building, so what most of us probably work in today. You can do just a single tenant in a big building, retail, and then multifamily. So any of these buildings apply to getting this certification. So like Well, I'm going to keep saying that because that's another certification system. We put our money into our employees, and there's a stat that about 90% of our money goes into these employees. and 9% is rent and operations, and 1% energy. So if you look at it that way, you want to invest in your people. They're the most expensive part of your company. So why Fitwell? I focus here on the low registration and certification costs compared to other certifications, and the fact that there is no preconditions or prerequisites, so you don't have to have anything set to get the certification. You can literally pick and choose from your categories. And another enticing fact is that you don't have to have new construction. You can literally just call and register in an existing building or existing floor. Another nice thing is that alternate compliance options is if you can't achieve the entire point, you can get partial points on that as well. So what better timing than now? This is the question that Corgan and myself specifically keep getting. So a heightened awareness as we return to the office, we want to promote that healthy environment. Transparency. You want to know that you're walking into a building that has had its air and water checked and the air especially filtered, and informs employees of cleanliness policies and giving occupants confidence. When we didn't normally want to see the janitors and staff around cleaning, we now want to see that cleaning, right? And when we first started this, when I first started talking about wellness in the workplace, it was considered more of a luxury to attract and retain employees. And now we see in the future that this is going to be some certification level will be required. Mental health. Consider mental health during crisis. Optimize work environments to promote feelings of well-being. And then benchmark, become a leader. There's actually only one Dallas building right now that is a Fitwell certified building, and that is the Streetlights residential building on, let's see, it's Mockingbird in Central. So there's a couple others that are registered, but become one of the first. And then instill trust, enhance the perceptions of safety, the emergency preparedness, communication, and surveying. So Fitwell's based on 7 health impact categories. So there's 63 evidence-based design and operational strategies, and those are the ones on the right-hand side of the screen. Each strategy is linked to one of the 7 impact categories, and it's weighted on the strength of evidence and impact on occupant health. I'm going to take a sip of water real fast. So there's 12 sections in those 7 impact categories. And so on the right, you'll see the 12 impact categories. And then again, there's no preconditions or prerequisites. So you can get points scattered throughout those 12. And you don't have to have a certain amount of points per section, which is very different than other certifications. All right, in the process, similar to other certifications, you register your project, you evaluate and work with Fitwell, and then benchmark your strategies and your points, kind of figure out if you're going to be a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and I'll get to that in a moment. You submit your paperwork, and what's super amazing about this is you actually get the certification guaranteed in 12 weeks. So Corgan has been trying to get our WELL certification for our building for over a year, just because it's hard to schedule individuals that are required to come and test the building, spot check, ensure that you've got the right lighting, and test your water and air. So huge that you can get this in 12 weeks. They actually said if you register by August 7th, you can guarantee your Fitwell certification by the end of the year. And then like other certification systems, you do have to recertify. So every 3 years, you pay a fee and see if you can maintain your star rating or up your star rating. And as I mentioned before, here are the star ratings. So it's really interesting, y'all. I've been doing some like assessment scorecards, and most tenants I do are sitting pretty in that first star. So it's amazing how many things buildings and tenants and occupants are already doing that they didn't even know that would get you to that Fitwell certification. And so costs, another differentiator than other certification systems, is this one's incredibly affordable. So it's a one-time registration fee of $500. And then it's a certification fee between $5,500 and $10,000, just depending on the square footage. But we have found this extremely lower than other certification systems as it relates to cost, especially in trying times. This is a better option in that regard if cost is huge to you. And then you get that plaque once you get your certification that you can put on your building, which is already putting up I guess it's already telling you that you're walking into a clean and healthy building. So what's unique to Fitwell, as it stands out from other certification systems, is there is a walk score. So you type in the address of your building. So Corgan, for example, we put in 401 Houston Street, and we have an 86 out of 100. So we have an amazing walk score. So we can do most errands by walking. We're close to an ATM, we're close to mass transit, we're close to restaurants. So I just did a scorecard assessment last week for a building in Craig Ranch, and their walk score was 6. So 86 was huge. So we can't control the walk score, but that gets you up to 16 points of those 90 just by having a good walk score. An annual commuter survey, your HR team can custom do this. You just ask your occupants questions about parking incentives and mass transit, et cetera, parking questions in general. And you have to take it once a year, as it's noted, and 30% of your employees need to respond. So parking scope's huge with Fitwell. It's similar to LEAD, where, like I said, parking incentives, mothers parking, things of that nature. You get a lot of points for either being close to a farmer's market or bringing in farmer's market foods into your building or space. And then a garden actually gets you a lot of points too, because there's studies that looking at nature is better just for your brain. And then a lot of signage on tobacco use and vape use. And then a lot of points that you can get with site and entry lighting, which frankly is required in most buildings and sites in Dallas. So easy to get points there. If you do have multiple floors or you do use your exit stair, you can get several points for promoting that stair walking. And if you have those just emergency stairs, you can actually add music or signage or art. So it's a better option to use versus your elevator. Of course, you have to talk to your building landlord, but always an option there. And then of course that air and water testing, sit to stand desks, which is kind of like a norm now, I believe. And then promoting hand washing, which sounds so simple, but you literally put a sign up and tell people to wash their hands for 20 seconds and you get a lot of points for that. And then the highest scoring points you can get from Fitwell is actually dedicated lactation rooms. You can get up to 6 points, which is the highest points in all of the 12 categories. So having enough of those for mothers working. So a lot of questions we get with Fitwell is what is the cost, which we kind of went over, and then what's the difference between its biggest competitor, the Well building standard. And so we didn't ever want these to compete. We want to make sure that we go over both options with our clients and our occupants and see what's the best fit. But in a nutshell, these are the biggest differences. So Well is founded by Delos. It's supported by the GBCI, which also supports LEAD. Fitwell is created by CDC and GSA. I've already went over that. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is you have to meet 23 preconditions with Well over their 10 concepts, and there is no preconditions in Fitwell. And then simply put, Fitwell is a little bit more accessible than Well, and it can result in a space. The only downside is that people would think that it's almost too easy to achieve versus Well, where you know that they've had the performance tests, they have to keep up with everything quarterly. It's more money, but you get assigned a Well ambassador out of New York City. So that's really the only downside we're seeing. But again, we don't have a ton of Dallas traction just yet. We're starting to see that influx and surge. And then why are they so similar is they both expire in 3 years. We have to recertify. They both focus on people. They're both based on research. And they're both designed to support healthy environments and impact on occupant health. So we have an entire presentation alone on just the differences here. This was just high level, but we believe that both are a great option, especially to ensure health and safety as we return back to the office and for the future. All right, Ashley, have there been any questions? Because this is now just a fun part.
Right, let's see here. I did have one question asking if you would be willing to share this content out with the group afterwards.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then this is at the end of my presentation, but we also pro bono will do a scorecard assessment with any building. So if you email me and say, hey, Caroline, I want to see how close our facility is to a Fitwell certification, I honestly just need your address and a floor plan, and I'll probably have like 8 or 9 questions for you. And they're going to be questions like, do you have bike storage? Are you willing to conduct a survey every year? Things of that nature. Are you willing to talk about mental health with once a year to your employees. It's going to be questions like that. They're more operational questions that I can't tell from a floor plan, but know that that is something that we're doing right now just because we feel really strongly that this is going to be a benchmark, like I said earlier, in real estate in Dallas. Any other questions, Ashley?
Not at this time, but I bet there will be that people might want to ask you at the very end. Why don't we run through kind of the fun section first and then open it up to questions, and we'll let the group ask you themselves?
All right. So my next 10 slides are honestly just things that I personally do and believe in. So a lot of them are referenced from the WHO or CDC or Mayo Clinic. So I just thought some fun ways to inspire us, since we've had a tough 4 months period being quarantine and having just a different life. And then post-pandemic, this will be over at some point. So this fact is pretty staggering, but I think one of just tips to stay mentally, physically fit is nutrition. And the obesity and overweight numbers in the country are staggering. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is an issue. And then something fun that I like to do is before I go outside and run in this crazy heat, that I like to freeze my blueberries. They taste really good when I get back. Fitness, of course, is so important. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends 30 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity 5 days per week. Y'all, that's walking a dog. I mean, if I can't physically get a workout in, just go walk around your neighborhood. I know it's really hot, but go walk around your neighborhood for 30 minutes. Just anything just to get moving, get that heart rate up, and then muscle strengthening activities at least 2 days a week. So I actually struggled in the second bullet point because I was strictly a runner. And then I started doing cross training when I met my now husband, and he got me into weightlifting and of that nature. So I actually know what to do if I walk into a room with a kettlebell and a bench. I'm not intimidated anymore. But one thing that I encourage when people talk to me about running and ask me how I started, it was actually I started because I had anxiety, and my doctor just told me to start running, and it's like literally the metaphor of running from your feelings. So I've been running for 11 years now. But one thing I rarely listen to music. I just kind of like gather my thoughts and plan. And so often I tell my friends, actually just told my friend this last week, is try running without music and just let your body guide your pace. And so that's one of my tips that I actually highly recommend. Stress, number 3. So advice from the LA Times. I'm not going to remember all of these, right? But I can remember to stop. It's basically just like take that breath and observe what's happening. And so one of my favorite apps, I didn't realize it was named 2017 Best App of the Year, is Calm. And they give you tons of free sessions. And it's just like, do you ever take 5 minutes of the day for just yourself? And it's just listening to yourself breathing. And it's not cheesy. It's actually very enlightening. And if you don't like to meditate, which it's hard for me to get in that kind of spot, this app's perfect just to lay down and hang out for a few minutes and just focus on your breath. Number 4, sleep. I have no problem going to sleep at night. I actually fall asleep right when I hit the pillow. But yes, there is that 8 hours of that they recommend, actually 8 to 10, which I don't know who has that kind of time to sleep for 10. But I thought these were some fun facts that I got from the Sleep Foundation, is that we're the only mammal that willingly delays sleep. And that we have 2 times the day where we naturally feel tired, which 2 p.m., I think mine's more like 2:33, but also 2 a.m., which doesn't really count, right? Because we should already be asleep. And then how important sleep is, just as important as diet and exercise. So I thought this was fun. We sleep at our in our condo at 69 degrees, which I think is pretty chilly. And they actually recommend 60 to 67. And so the first thing I thought of was like my AC bill is going to go through the roof. But I do agree with sleeping with feeling cooler and having covers over you. Number 5, staying connected. I don't know about y'all, and I know it's terribly ironic to say this because we're on a Zoom call, but we are so Zoom fatigue. There's days where I'm just talking to the computer and it's talking to me, and I just miss that interaction. I miss hugs. I miss shaking hands. I just miss meeting people. So here's some other ideas to get off that computer for a hot second, because we're here at work all day on Zoom. So why would I want to go home and continue to be on Zoom? So swap a favorite book. I've actually done this with a friend. Race a friend to the finish line with the same puzzle. I'm a wizard at puzzles. I love puzzles. I think it's why I do my job here at Corgan, is because I like to space plan. I cannot cook, so I'm horrible at the sharing recipes, but I think it's a fun idea. Meet a friend for a walk. I did that when we first started. I've been back at the office since June 25th, June 15th, June 15th, and I've met several of my friends for a walk on the Katy Trail during lunch instead of sitting in a restaurant. And then my husband is a huge Cubs fan, so we actually watched the entire World Series of the 2016 World with the Cubs and Indians. So relive your favorite sports team, I thought was fun. And then binge watch a TV show. I think we've all done that. We're constantly talking about, have you watched this? And I'm embarrassed to admit how many hours of TV I've actually watched. And then I liked this one, write a friend or family member a letter and mail it to them. I don't know about y'all, but I love checking my mail, and it's like 95% junk. And then you see that one letter that's like a sweet thank you note or telling someone they're thinking about you, which I thought was a great idea. All right, number 6, staying hydrated. The Institute of Medicine recommends 2.7 liters for women a day and then 3.7 liters for men. This does include drinking, so like coffee has water in it, sparkling water, etc. But I thought this was crazy that there's 1 billion people that lack access to safe drinking water worldwide, and how lucky we are to have safe drinking water. And you actually get food poisoning more often from water than you do actual food. So I did invest, here's my Yeti, in your daily consumption so you can track your water and it stays cool. Balance, another tip for staying healthy, mentally and physically fit. So I guess just have your set hours. I know a lot of us are back at the office or I've already done this for months now, but I liked this part was consider the cost of being tired, poor health, lost time with loved ones, increased expectations. So when I was at home, I did try to turn my computer off and not do personal things on it at a certain time. Showing compassion, I think is in empathy, frankly. I saw people jogging the other day on the Katy Trail with masks on, and I was like, why on earth would you jog with a mask on? It's so hot, but it's like, that's their safe spot. And so that may not be my safe spot, but just being empathetic towards others and understanding that everyone's going through this together, although we have different views and perceptions of what safety and health is. So another thing we did, we were at Houndstooth the other day, coffee, and we bought a couple of liters of coffee for first responders. So it does feel good. We need that feel goodness. Another thing that's free, and I'm quoting Marie Kondo here. She's a famous author who likes to clean out closets and so forth, but she sparked joy by cleaning out your closet and donate to the Salvation Army. Call them, they'll come pick it up for free. So I thought that was fun. Number 9, adding structure to your day. One of my things I actually miss when I was at home is walking our dogs at lunch and having that time with my husband and the dogs getting exercise and us, frankly, getting exercise. So I thought that was fun, and I actually do miss that being back at the office now. And finally, staying positive. According to StrengthsFinders, positivity is actually my number 1 strength. And so I find myself reaching a little further these days for positivity, but there is so much good in this world, and we're going to get through this, and give yourself permission to feel and just be. And one of the things we've been doing is a lot of our trips got canceled this year. And so we had so much fun planning it and then looking at it virtually. And then we can't wait to compare like virtually to when we actually do get to go. So that's helped us through this, just looking forward to something. And then I found this yesterday and I couldn't resist. So this woman here, y'all, this woman in the lower left-hand corner, she started running marathons when she was in her 60s, and she was told by a doctor to quit smoking. And so she thought, okay, I'll just run. And she's now set a Guinness Book of World Record. She's run a marathon in all 7 continents. And you believe it or not, you can actually run a marathon in Antarctica. It's scheduled, and you take a boat out of Buenos Aires in South America. But I mean, what's everyone's excuse? And again, it doesn't have to be a marathon, but just getting up and moving. And so I thought this was a great way to end today. That I know it's extremely hot, but we can all get up and walk and run. Okay, I know I went through the last part fast.
That was fantastic, and I have no doubt that your strength is positivity. And wow, to that woman, that was amazing.
No,
there's some love for you in the chat field and for your presentation. I'm sure that there are a few questions out there, so I just want to invite everybody to go ahead and come off mute. And if you'd like to share a sentiment with Caroline, ask a question, anything like that. I know we're right at the end of our time, so I understand if you have to drop, but if you don't, feel free to ask a question.
Yeah, I'll share this presentation with you, Ashley. I'll definitely put that down.
Caroline, it's Mary Alex.
Hey, girl.
Hi. I have so many puzzles. If you want to ever exchange with me, let me know and I'll drop some off for you.
I love it. I'm a puzzle maniac.
That's what I did all during quarantine. My husband would come in and be like, "Are you already finished with that 1,000-piece puzzle?" And I'm like, yes."
Like I will lose
Oh
sleep,
my
which, as
gosh.
you know, is so important. I love that.
Y'all, I have like 50 puzzles. I'm a puzzle freak too. We need a puzzle swap group.
We do
I
need a puzzle swap group.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I see I literally everyone I see on the screen are people that I love and know. So hello, Teresa. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Mary Alec. That's all the people I can see.
Oh,
And of course, Ashley.
lots of chat on puzzle swaps. Great info. Loved the presentation. So much
Yes.
love for Caroline.
So even if y'all don't want to do the full assessment and pay the money, I'm still happy to look at your space and just explain to people that perception is, all in the eyes of the beholder, and we can help you get a safe and hopefully safer environment than you once were before COVID.
Thank you so much. I
Of
loved the
course.
tips. I think that they were really wonderful reminders for just taking care of
I
ourselves
think it is,
and
yeah.
making sure that we're prioritizing our health and wellness so we can give our best to other people too.
I appreciate it, y'all. What a great way to start a Monday.
Thanks, Caroline. I absolutely loved this.
Bye, y'all. Mwah.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Hope
you.
everyone has a great rest of their day and an awesome week.